Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another lesson. This one, I'm going to use a question that Jewish Questions left as a foundation for what I'm going to talk about. It's going to involve the Lord's Prayer and prophesying, and then how important it is to prophesy accurately, and it's a matter of life and death, for sure. And so that's very, very important. And what I see going on YouTube is that people don't care. They just say whatever they want and they have no idea what they're talking about. And so to me, that has to be God doing it, based on Job 12:16, because they're just obviously wrong, and that kind of thing. And so it gets to what his question is getting at. It's like, ultimately, will God credit a person prophesying by themselves in a silo for prophesying when no one actually hears it? Because his point is that what I was saying in Matthew 6, what it reads in Matthew 6, is that Christ is telling us to go and pray alone, go in a quiet place. And then what God sees in secret, he'll reward openly, which is salvation in the last days. And what I know now, Matthew 6 is referring to the last days. Okay, and so it's a good question, and then it actually shows again what the God of the Bible is all about. And there's one exception when it comes to doing things out publicly. God has to be the citation. That's the biggest difference. In all the times in the Bible, all the prophets and all that, God sent them to go do that. Okay? God sent Christ to go and do what he did. And then Christ will equip his disciples, and then everywhere in the Old Testament, Moses, Elijah, everybody. Okay? Their citation is God. Okay? And so the only people that can cite God in the last days are the elect. Okay? And so that group, which I believe more and more at this point, and I'm saying this humbly that I am a part of that group, it's like our job is not to go out publicly and to go and declare what God told us. Oh, man, are you excited? God sealed me with it. If we tell people that, they're going to be like, oh, you're real special now? Oh, okay, really? Oh, you dictate the timing of the end times, with your level of resources that are left, and that kind of thing. Oh, really? You're super special? You think people are going to be welcoming that idea? Are you kidding me? The truth community is going to hate it. Okay, much less all the other people and all that kind of stuff. So that Matthew 6 to 14, which I'm going to read, is the safe thing to do. Okay, and the logical thing to do, because no one's going to be able to understand it. And so the only other time that the gospel is going to be preached in a public way is by angels in the last days, according to Revelation 14:6, and it's going to be in the sky. And those angels could actually be the elect themselves, because they're taken away first. But that maybe is over people's head, literally. But it's going to be by angels. And so that's clearly God doing it. Okay. And so that's the only time a person really is supposed to go and do it publicly. All these actors on the streets, like GMS and like really anybody prophesying, they're just so much actors, okay? Unless they can, what's their citation? Is the Most High? Really, are they going to actually cite the Most High? They're going to cite another man who's going to cite another man. Maybe there's a woman even in the chain. We don't know. And so it will never get back to God. It will always just go up God's left-hand side. And so we're required to do this. Matthew 6 to 14. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. God is essentially looking for experiences like that all the time with people, and I know this now. And so it's not too late to implement it, but he's always looking for times where we do something that no one else has seen, but then he's going to then do something and be like, hey, remember that time you did that in secret? You get that for that. That could be positive or negative. Just know that. Verse 7, but when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathens do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. When I used to go in those Christian Bible studies, we had all these Christians praying for like, a minute or 2 minutes and just talking about nothing, okay? And so we're not supposed to do that. I was a part of that. Definitely don't do that now. I used to start off my live streams with this prayer. I've fallen away from that, but I should, if I ever live stream again, there might be like one or two more, but we're only supposed to pray like this. And then now we know that this is a prophecy. This is God telling his people to prophesy. Okay, if they're praying this and now they understand what it means. Verse 8, but not ye therefore, be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you even ask him. So don't worry about the earthly things. Okay, we all have those fears or whatever, but Christ always elevates people's minds. This is why he would be a tough person to be around, because He's always going to ask, why are you asking that? Okay. And that's why I don't mind when people get annoyed by me, because I want to know really what you're all about. Okay. What are you really about when you come by here? What are you trying to share? I asked Flat Earth Boxer that. Why are you going out in the streets? What exactly do you want to tell people? He's like, I don't know. How do you not know why you're going out? Like, if you don't have a particular message, some cool product that you need to go and tell people, and that's everybody that I see prophesying. They have no idea about their own life, but they go out and they just say random things. Okay, what is that going to do? Okay, and so Christ was all about that. Okay, he's always going to ask, why are you asking me that? Okay, what is your real spirit? Okay, somebody will come up to him, ask him to divide the inheritance or whatever. He'd be like, what does that have to do with me? Okay, I am not your accountant. That's what he'll say to people. And so he really is trying to get to the heart of the matter, so to speak. And he's always trying to lift people's minds to the heavens above. And even here, he's trying to get people to look forward to the heavens above, okay, which will be brought here. Okay, that's always what he's doing, every single time. And so he made the law harder to follow, in fact, because he showed us how it's going to live out. It's not easier, okay? It's not like all the other people in the past were kicking butt, and then he came and he just kind of did a decent, representation of it. No, he added it because now we see visually how difficult it is, and he was concerned about a person's thoughts, okay, where their heart is, okay. That makes it more difficult, okay, because he's constantly evaluating that, and I'm doing that with all you dummies that come by my channel. So, just know that. So, after this manner, therefore, pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Verse 10, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That's a prophecy. Okay, that's going to happen. Whether anybody prays this or not, that's going to happen. Okay. Give us this day our daily bread. That to me is coded language for salvation. If you look at that sequence video that I did, and that's Christ. He's the bread of life. Verse 12, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Verse 13, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. That's in the end times. Lead us not in temptation, out of the hour of temptation. Deliver us from that evil. Salvation from that evil which is coming, and then the kingdom. Verse 14, for if you give men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. And so that's a prophecy. Okay. And if you go and pray that publicly and really understand what the Bible is saying, no one's gonna understand it and accept it. And so, because the Bible, that deliverance is ultimately only for God's elect. Okay, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And so, it's not something that even makes sense to go and do publicly, because the gospel is going to be preached again, like I said, by angels. And so, Good Servant last night on his hangout was like, I worry about TMoG. It seems like a nice guy, but he's a little confused. He's in a silo. He's by himself. Who's leading him and all that kind of stuff. That's God's left-hand side that talk like that. I will only consider somebody who is coming in isolation, okay? They don't have a clique or, I'm cool with that channel. You're already suspect if you come by my channel like that. I'm already questioning all that. Why are you co-signing other people? Are they all sealed? Okay, obviously not, okay, if it's on YouTube. So that's already incredibly suspect. And then if you come by here trying to convince me that you're something, you're already dismissed, okay? Because this group doesn't care what man says, okay? They do things privately, and then they interact with their God. When I first heard the teaching of the so-called Hebrew Israelites, and I was sitting there in my apartment in New York at that time, I didn't go and ask anybody else, okay, hey, Dad, what do you think? Or like, what do my mom think? I don't care what they think, or my pastor or elder, anything like that. I asked God in that moment. I'm asking him everything that I see. I'm running it through him. What's that all about? Why did this happen? Why do I have all these pains or everything? I'm always asking God. Okay. And I asked him while I was watching those videos, while I was watching the Russian Viz videos, while I'm watching anything on YouTube. What is this? Okay. And I run it through the Most High. Okay. And so that's my citation. And within a few days, I found out that God's like, listen to them. Don't change the channel. Okay. Listen to them for now, and then something else will come up, and then something else will come up. He's like, listen to them. Okay. And so that's the way it should work. And so that took time from then till now to be able to concretely say what I say now with the sequence as of January 1st, 2020. So in between then, in those times, I wasn't qualified to go out and prophesy. because I didn't have the truth, okay, until that day. And so then I was then qualified to go out and share it publicly. But I believe that God did that, according to Revelation 7. So what am I going to go and do? Look for somebody else who had that happen to them? I'm not saying that that wouldn't be great, but it would be impossible to find them because it's a relatively small number and they're going to be across the entire earth. So it's a waste of time. And I'm going to go and find out that they know the exact same thing that I do. And so, which would be an encouraging thing, but it's all God's work. And so if you go out and prophesy, you're only going to prophesy the truth to people who will understand it and receive it, 144,000 men. So good luck, okay? Good luck being one ourselves, which is just an elite group, and then going and finding another one. So, because they're the only people that know the truth, according to Romans 11:7. And so it's a waste of time, and then also it's not our responsibility to do that. Romans 11:7, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. And so that's a very elite group. And so the gospel is going to be preached in the last days by angels, according to Revelation 14:6. And it's possible that those are the elect, because they're taken away prior to that. If you read Revelation 14, it follows a sequence. Okay. And so, again, don't take that because we don't know for sure, but the gospel is going to be preached by angels in the sky, and it's going to transcend language, okay? I'll read that verse just because it's a good one. Revelation 14:6. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel. So anybody who is preaching on the earth, you should ask them, why are you here on earth if you're preaching the gospel? The Bible says here you should be preaching in the midst of heaven. And ask them, is your name Angel? Is your name Angel? Okay. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, to preach to them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. That's never happened. That's a prophecy. Never has the gospel being preached to the entire earth in the sky. Never. Okay. But that's what's going to happen. And so don't worry about anything publicly. Okay. What I'm doing on YouTube is to demonstrate that I'm not deceived and to kill time. Okay, that's it. And there's nothing deeper than that. And it's possibly even in the reverse order. So I'm just ultimately killing time. It's not my responsibility to get out there and demonstrate to anybody that I'm not deceived in the last days, because God grouped the truth, and then the others are going to get the gospel preached to them in the time of the Great Tribulation. And so that has nothing to do with you and me. So if God wanted everybody to have the quote unquote truth, would we have a world like this? Okay, if God just blanketedly put the real truth on lots and lots of people's minds, could you have an end times? Or would this narrative just be abruptly halted? Okay, and then the evil could not, be successful, propagate. So it's for his narrative. But there's a very, very small number of men on this earth who are not actors. Okay. And if I had a third thing in that list is maybe to reach out to other people who are not actors. And then they'll be like, hey, what's this guy saying? And then they might be able to receive it. Okay, if God allows that. And so, but I'm not expecting that. It's not like, hey, what are my numbers today? Yeah, it was 10 people came by. I don't care. And I've done that in the past, handing out gospel tracts. Oh, I handed out 200. I set quotas for myself. That's what I would do. I was like a complete zombie. But I would literally set quotas for myself. Oh, I got to hand these 200 out this month or something like that. So I don't care anymore, and we're not supposed to care. The only thing we're supposed to do is distance ourselves further and further from this place. Revelation 18:4. So that doesn't mean go into the system more and go out on the street more often. Where does it say that? Okay, Christ is saying here that you go to a safe place too. Okay, if you really understand the gospel, you're only going to feel safe alone, because this Bible is talking about destruction on a mass scale in the last days. Blood everywhere. Okay. Is that going to be good news for a lot of people? Okay. Even the people who are preserved, you think that's still not scary for them too? And so it's not for very many people. So I would say his question is, would a person be actually prophesying in your estimation if correctly predicting the future in secret? I would say yes, and that's very likely only going to be the case. Okay. So I would say being on YouTube is a bit of like an exception to the rule. Okay. So do that. Okay. And then God, knowing that you're only going to do that for yourself, first and foremost, ultimately, and treasure it and cherish it between him and you, then he's like, okay, that person is likely a good candidate for me to put this in their brain. Or else, if you're the type who will go out there and just blast it everywhere and try and make money off it, which is even worse, and stuff like that, then you're totally finished. Okay. And then draw attention to yourself. Hey, look at me. I'm the BIG and all that kind of stuff. God can only fill that person with nonsense. Okay. And that's what we get from them. Okay. Big shocker, right? And so the people of this book are very, very, they're very humble people. Okay. They're very introspective. Okay. And they hate BS. Okay. So if you come to them with wishy-washy, 50, I don't know, we got to see, and all that kind of stuff that you get from everybody now, you're dismissed. Okay. And people think that I'm rude when I do that, but I don't care. Okay. I'm on a journey to the truth. Where are you journeying? Okay. And so if anybody gets in my way and just says, oh, it makes a stupid, point about, oh, I don't agree with that, but doesn't tell me, okay, well, help me replace it then. Like, no, I just don't think that that's right. Get away. Okay. I'm going to God. Okay. Where are you going? Okay. And so I dismiss them. You can be my family. You could be whatever. I don't care. Okay. I do not accept phone calls from my own parents. Okay. Because I know that they're going to interrupt this journey that I'm on. Okay. And they won't understand it. You could sit down with them, explain to them the Bible thing, the flat earth and all that. They'll be like, what are you talking about? Our son's gone crazy. All that kind of stuff. And so I'm not explaining it to them. Just like I'm not explaining it to any people on YouTube now, because a majority of people that come by my channel think my teaching on the two witnesses is insane. Okay. End times teacher and these people think it's crazy. Okay. That God would bring two men here like he's done all the time throughout human history. Genesis, Sodom, Transfiguration, everywhere. Okay. Even when he was taken away, there was two men there. And so people think that's crazy. They're like, what the hell? This guy believes that two men are going to be brought to America for 1,260 days. That's what the Bible says. Okay. That's what I believe. And I know that you people can't literally believe that. Okay. And so that's why I know that my teaching is ultimately for me. I'm not saying you can't benefit from it, but that has to be for me. Okay. And so if that happens, then I have to be one of the 144,000. And to me, the position that I take now is that literally has to happen for the Bible to be true. Okay. And so it has nothing to do with me anymore. Now that I know that interpretation, what I was told, is everywhere in the Bible. And so now it's God coming through with what he's already done over and over again. And so that's why the elect are the only group that can ultimately worship God in spirit and in truth, because they've been implanted with the truth by God through his angels. And so that's a gift. Okay. We were talking last night on a hangout on End Times Teacher's channel. I was telling them that there was a time that I had over 30 Bitcoins, and I got a few of them taken from another exchange that I was on that was like laundering money or something. Like the guy who ran it, BTC-E, was like laundering money. So I only got like half of my Bitcoins back. But at that time, I think I had like 10K worth of Bitcoin. This was years ago. And I got half of it back. And I was happy about that. Because I'm like, oh, great. At least I got half of it back. That other half you could live off of for like a year or two now. And then, but there was a time I had, I think, definitely over 30 Bitcoins, around 30 to 35 Bitcoins. And, I just kept selling them, over the years, because I was like bored at work. And I was like, wow, it went up. I made $200 today, and I would just go buy like a golf club or something. I was living in New York, so I had a lot of places to go and spend money. But, that amount, I could almost retire off that. And so this is why I find it funny, and not to pick on ATT, even though I pick on him a lot. He's like, he gets upset when he's like, oh, he feels like he got ripped off of like $500. He tells stories like this. Oh, I'm in tribulation, all that kind of stuff. Money has no value to me anymore, like none. And so I literally don't even think about it. I don't think about when my parents call me, and I just treat it like a robocall. I don't think about it after. And so people would say, oh, this man is completely callous. Okay. I have no connection to this earth. Okay. If you call me and say, TMoG, we can go play Augusta National. Okay. And I can get there without doing this and the other thing. I'll be like, I'd probably get excited about that for sure. But aside from that, I don't care. Okay. If what I teach is true, this is worth, there's no money that's associated with that. That's an experience with me and the Most High. And it's unique and it's precious to me. And so, and it's made sure of that no one's going to understand it. And in fact, when I go and teach them, they're going to get angry. They're going to go, wait a minute. God told you something, that means that we're in the last days because you're one of the elect. And he told you that he's going to bring 2 men here that's going to torment the entire earth. Oh, that's good news. Oh, great. Come in for, some coffee. People are going to hate that. The truth, you people hate it. Okay. And so how's the rest of the world going to go and like that? If I go and prophesy that to people, okay? The Bible is only good news for 144,000 men. Okay. If people haven't figured that out yet, because the Christians, which are billions of them, you read the Bible to them, pretty much any verse, they'll get angry at you, okay? And they're going to then slander you, like people like Good Servant and other people who come by my channel, and they'll slander you because the Bible is written for a very, very small group of people. And the rest of the earth, which are like a majority of people on earth, it's bad news for them. And so you essentially have to prophesy alone, okay? And don't expect anybody to go and accept it or anything like that in a mass scale, okay? It's not the case. And so the only people, again, that should be prophesying are the elect. And it's very late in the game for them to be prophesying because they were sealed prior to wrath. And so they're not going to be the ones that are going to go and preach the gospel. It has to be what I read in Revelation 14. So I want people to understand that. And it's the same thing with the teaching on the mark of the beast. If anybody out there is teaching that it's never going to happen or it's a microchip or something, then you're playing with fire, and so you're leading other people astray. And then God's got to get you. He's going to get you with the swords and then the fire. And so think about the earth right now. All the people teaching the Bible, they're all wrong. Okay, Flat Earth Boxer doesn't want to teach that this is hell. He's got issues with that. This earth is hell, which it obviously is. Okay, and then we obviously know what the mark of the beast is. And then we obviously know the shape of the earth. And so think about just those 3 things, like how many people are left? There's me and who else? Probably Jewish questions. Okay, like he agrees with what I teach, which those 3 things at least, and like maybe other things, but like who's left? And so if you're a person who's a flat earther, this earth is hell, and then the mark of the beast is what you guys know that I teach it is, who's left? Those are just 3. We haven't even put on the 2 witnesses yet. And then, things about Christ's character, his actual character and the way that he wants people to live, like I read in Matthew 6 and everywhere. We haven't even got into all the other things. Okay, and even Mystery Babylon, throw that one in there. But there's basically nobody left. And then those things, everything that I teach on my channel are completely obvious. The shape of the earth, the fact that this is hell, America being Mystery Babylon, everything, the 2 witnesses, Christ's skin color, who the Jews are, and all that kind of stuff. And so what the clouds are and all that. So it's not even like controversial. And so I say this humbly, it's a gift. And so if you've received those things, you're in an elite group and you should be afraid of the other people. Again, I'm not saying go and be afraid, but because God is ultimately controlling them, but like you're going to want to be more and more alone. So Good Servant was saying, TMoG seems to be by himself. He's maybe because this guy's telling me that I'm mental. Okay, which is hilarious. Again, I don't need this right now. Infinite number of reasons for me to know that I don't want to be here because the truth community are mentally retarded. Everywhere in the Bible, it talks about God interacting with his elect on a personal level. Okay. And so if you're not in a silo by yourself, then you're likely not interacting with God. If you got your information from a group or anything like that, unless you're living in the time of Christ and it's the disciples and they're like healing people and like, casting out demons. That's different. Okay. You can't fake that. Okay. That's a different time that we lived, that they lived in. That's not the times that we live in now. Hopefully that's very, very clear. Unless you're in Arzareth, okay, which I suspect they have all those powers and that type of thing, but that's an elite group. I suspect that's the place where God didn't want certain souls to be defiled. So he's like, okay, you have to be on earth as a judgment, but you're going to go over there and keep the law. And so that's for the elite. I suspect people like Daniel, and people like Ezra, that's where their souls would be. And so I'm not saying God doesn't care about us because we're here in Babylon, but that's for a special group. Okay, he doesn't want them to have to see any kind of deception and evil and that type of thing, but he needs them to, quote, toe the line, until the last days. But aside from that group, we're not living in those days. And so That's the Bible is written for a very, very few number of people. And so if that's you, then that's good. Pat yourself on the back. That's like, there's no number of Bitcoins that could buy that. Okay. I would not trade what I am teaching for anything on this earth. Because if what I teach is actually true, then I literally hold one of the votes to end this whole thing. Okay. They're out there somewhere. They're obviously out there somewhere, else the Bible's not true. They're not going to be born into the next generation. We all know that. So there is a group of 144,000 men on this earth, and each one of them, God is elected. And he didn't say, hey, what do you think? Let me vote them in. No, God makes the election. Okay. And so, because it's his elect. And so they hold the button, okay, to end this thing. And they have every incentive to end this thing because they're not accepted in this society. Even more so now that they're sealed, because then they're not even accepted in the truth community. Okay. So I would not trade that for any number of Bitcoins or whatever the hell those things are. Okay. They're ultimately backed by compute infrastructure. I went into that in the hangout last night. We had a long discussion. It was a good discussion. Shout out LOP and End Times Teacher and whatever. I don't even like to discuss the other guy because he took the thing. So that guy. We went into that a little bit, cryptos and stuff. But no, it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. I hit this quote unquote spiritual lottery. Okay, and this is why I believe that I'm here. This is why I was made to be a vessel to absorb that and accept that on that day. Everything was for that day. Okay. Then I looked around and saw all deception, but then I was told the actual truth. And then I could go and speak the truth. And I realized, wow, it's falling on deaf ears, even though we're living in it. Okay. And so that's telling. So I'm only saying this for people to, first of all, not incur any type of punishment that's unnecessary, first and foremost, because that's what I was doing in the past, handing out all these gospel tracts, promising salvation to people that I couldn't cash those checks. Okay, I was like signing checks for God, and God's like, why are you doing that? Okay, that's my bank account. Get the hell away from my bank account. Okay, so I was trying to sign checks for God out of God's bank account, and then promising people things that I couldn't follow through on. They couldn't follow through on, and God's not going to follow through on it. So don't do that. Okay. If you're going to tell people about salvation, you got to tell them what it is, first and foremost. Okay, sounds obvious, right? It's going to be in the last days. It's going to be by these so-called UFOs. It's ultimately for God's elect, which is a small group of people, and they're all Israelites, and they're going to have incredible sensitivity towards God's laws. They're going to be incredibly stubborn people, okay? They're going to hate evil. They're going to hate lies. They're going to have no guile in their mouth, okay? Not going to be like, oh, I don't know, and this and that. If they don't know, they're going to go ask their God, and they'll tell you, I'll meet you back here in 2 days, okay? And then I'll tell you. And then my God told me that, okay? However many days it takes, a few days. It took me maybe a few days, a week or so to find out that I should be listening to the Hebrews, okay? It didn't take my God long, okay? God's not going to just jump in. Oh, there's the first scene in Zabak's sermon. Okay, here we go. No, we're living in a movie, okay? God is, quote, smooth when he intercedes. It took a few days, okay? Wow, interesting, okay? But I could sense something was going on. I was supposed to listen to them. Then I was supposed to listen to Russian vids. Then I was supposed to listen to all these people until I'm here. Why are you here? Anybody listening? Why are you here listening to me? You got to think about those kind of things. But, that's what it is, and so it is prophesying if it's in secret. And I would say it's more legitimate in the times that we live in now. If you're doing it in secret, it adds credibility to it. You have barely any subs. You're like, hey, no one seems to care and all that kind of stuff. My family doesn't care. No one on the street cares or understands. I'll be like, pull up a chair. I'd like to hear what you have to say. And so, keep it private or whatever. Then I'll be like, yeah, that's likely a valid testimony then, because everybody out there has rejected it or just doesn't even want to have time for you and all that kind of stuff. Because the Bible says in the last days, and really what I know now throughout the entire course of human history, that any valid testimony has to be the spirit of prophecy. So the Bible is a testimony to God. And so it has to have prophecy. Okay. The whole thing. So this applies to the Bible itself. Okay. Listen to this. Revelation 19:10, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant. God's children, they don't say, oh yeah, worship for a little while. Okay. I like this feeling. You sucking up to me. No, they're like, stop. Okay. Get up and worship God. Even Christ would say that, okay? And he's worthy of that kind of worship, okay? See thou do it not, I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren, so they're all Israelites, okay, that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, okay? Listen to this, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And so what is the testimony of Jesus? Christ says he comes in the volume of the book, right? And so that applies to the Bible itself. Hebrews 10:7, then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me, to do thy will, O God. So if that book is written of Jesus and it's a testimony, then it has to have the spirit of prophecy. And guess what? My backup channel, which I'll link below, proves it. From the beginning to the end is breathing prophecy. Okay. And so if Christ comes in the volume of the book, then all those volumes that are prophesying, that's a valid testimony. And obviously they're all going to have to be the same. And so any book that is testifying to Christ, which then has prophecy, has to have prophecy in it, then that's the volume of the book. Okay. And it's canonical. And so all Second Ezra obviously is canonical. Okay. First and Second Ezra and the Apocrypha and Enoch and Jasher and all that. And so all those books are prophesying, so there's a testimony and then they're part of the volume. Okay, that's the logic of it. And so that's how we know whether a book is scriptural, is from God, should be in the volume of the book, is whether it prophesies, and then that's a valid testimony according to this verse. And so that's many, many books beyond the 66, 66, are you kidding me? 66. There's many more that I've proven. So that's an amazing thing. Okay. And so the entire Bible is prophetic. Okay. And it's only ultimately going to be understood by a small group of people. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.